get her each time. She's a licensed clinical social worker and provides psychotherapy services to persons in long-term care facilities, primarily nursing homes. Sherry is working on her Competent Communication Manual. Tonight she is completing Project 4, How to Say It. The title of her speech is, You Don't Have to Rot. Help me welcome Sherry Wright.
If I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I think we all have heard Cher sing that song. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I did. I found a way. I know how to turn back time. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Last year, in fact, 1 year ago this past Tuesday, I had a bit of a scare. I had a little first aid issue that I had to go to the ER for, and it was on a Monday night. And I ran over there thinking it would be a quick visit. They did the protocol. The nurse came in, she took my blood pressure, all the things that they have to do, the quick little health history. And very quickly the doctor was in the room. He wasn't in there to address the reason I was there. He was in there to address my blood pressure. He told me my blood pressure was very, very high. I didn't believe him because I don't have blood pressure problems. So I was sure that he was wrong. I thought probably the little nurse got the reading wrong. He asked me if I would stay there for a little while, and he wanted me to stay about an hour, and then he wanted to check it again, and I agreed, and I always had a book with me, and so I read the book. When the nurse came back in, she came with the doctor, he took the blood pressure. My blood pressure hadn't gone down in that hour, it had gone further up. When they took it the first time, it was 188 over 118. When they took it the second time, it was higher. He told me very clearly that I was a stroke ready to happen and asked me to take some blood pressure medication while I was there, gave me 5 days supply, and told me to call my doctor first thing in the morning. I went home rather sobered. I sat down and thought about what was happening. I was significantly overweight. I was pretty depressed. And I really had not been taking good care of myself, not at all. About 2 months earlier, a friend had gifted me this book, Younger Next Year. I said, thanks a lot, and took it and put it in a bookshelf somewhere and didn't think about it. I sat there on the couch that night and I pulled out that book and I started reading. The next morning, I was up before my doctor's office was open and I was on my treadmill. And I thought, this is either going to kill me or it's going to start to save me. And I walked that treadmill. I called the doctor that morning. He renewed the prescription that the first doctor put me on, and I was on blood pressure medication. I read that book like a Bible. And I began that day, 2 days ago, 1 year ago, and I started walking, and I've walked 5 miles a day ever since. I have not missed one single day. Because what I read in this book was shocking, and I've read all the books. I knew them all. But what I read in this book was, you do have to age, but you don't have to rot. Now, that was a surprising statement to me. And what this doctor and this attorney who had collaborated together, the attorney really has the sense of humor, and the doctor has the scientific knowledge, what they said was 70% of the illnesses that we attribute to aging are really attributed to our lifestyle. We do get older, but we do not have to have most of the diseases that we have. That was shocking to me. There were some rules that they put forth in this book, 3 things that you had to do. 1 was exercise, 2, nutrition, and 3, caring and commitment. Exercise, they said, was primary. Exercise was the most important thing. Not only aerobic exercise, because I was on the treadmill now and I was going pretty good, not only aerobic exercise, but strength training. We need to do aerobic exercise 4 days a week. Not until we've lost the weight we want to lose, not until our blood pressure is down where we want it to be. We need to do aerobic exercise 4 days a week for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. We also need to do strength training 2 days a week for the rest of your life. I had never thought that way. I have always thought in terms of when the lab work is right, when the blood pressure, although I had never had blood pressure problems, or when my weight was where I wanted it to be. Usually it was a vanity issue, and when my weight was where I wanted to be, then I could quit. This said for the rest of your life. Also talked about nutrition and how important it is that the things we eat, we are what we eat. We are what we eat. And we really have been, I have been terribly lackadaisical about that, and I think we as a society have been very lackadaisical. There was a special on CNN that I had recorded. It got preempted because of the Libyan crisis. Then it got preempted last week because of Hurricane Irene. It did finally play. I never caught it on TV, but I think it will be on this Saturday night. I did catch it on the internet. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and it was called The Last Heart Attack. He had 3 significant people on there, one of which was President Bill Clinton. Another was a woman who was told she needed heart surgery. And a third was a man who you would look at was slim, trim, seemingly did all the right things, and had some significant heart problems. They followed all 3 of these people. But the thesis of the whole show was, we really can, with the knowledge that we have today, with what we know today, we can do away with heart disease. We don't have to have any more heart attacks. Now, a lot of us will say genetics. I'll say, oh my gosh, but heart disease, that's my family, it's my genetics. It's important to know that. It really is important to know that, because genetics is good information for you. Genetics doesn't mean because your mother or father died of a heart attack, you're going to die of a heart attack. But it does mean, what did they do that I could do differently? Since I do have a bit of a predisposition for this. Their diet wasn't all that good. Their exercise was pretty much non-existent. So it is important to know that we have genetics, but it is also important that we not use that as a total excuse for why we don't have to have a heart attack, or why we don't have to take care of ourselves. From reading this book, Younger Next Year, I was able to turn back time. I started my program with my shoes and my treadmill. I do 5 miles a day, like I said earlier. I have not missed one day in over 365 days, not one day. I do my weight training, I try to watch what I eat, and I try to emulate what they're talking about, caring and commitment and compassion towards others, because we're pack animals. So I invite all of you to join me in getting younger next year. Madam President?
Yes.
I've got everybody's name on here. If you'll draw one name.
And the name is Paula.
Paula. So for you, I give you the Younger Next Year book.
Oh,
All right.